All right, everyone, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time, welcome. If it's your second time, welcome back. We are in week 2 of the Practical Joy Summer Book Club. If you were here last week, we talked a little bit about the scavenger hunt. And I'd like to just know in the chat, did you read any of the book? Did you watch the behind the scenes of making the cover and the artwork in the book? Did you fill anything in on your scavenger hunt? I would love to know that. And for those of you that are joining us the first time, the scavenger hunt is kind of our anchor tool. It's the tool we're going to use as we move through Practical Joy book. And the scavenger hunt was created, I hand drew it, so that people had like a little treasure map to map their joy and the main themes from each part of the book. So would love to know if you have your joy scavenger hunt nearby, look at it just for a moment, right? It's okay if you forgot about it. It's okay if it's folded up and crumpled in your book, or, you know, the dog ate it. It's all good. But what part of your map is pulling for your attention today? Do you want to spend more time thinking about your passion projects? You know, just looking at the map there. Are you thinking more about your lifestyle values and how to live more in those values? How about a daily joy practice? You all got a little homework last week, right? To like do a daily practice. Maybe you're noticing you need to pause a little more with nature. So as you look at that scavenger hunt, I just love to invite you to kind of see what is speaking to you right now. And I'd love to hear from a couple of you today. I'd love to hear from a couple of you today. What came up for you over the past week around joy and creativity and aliveness, or appeared on your scavenger hunt? Okay, Gail.
All right, I'm going to take the plunge. Okay, so admittedly, I didn't do the formal homework, but I did notice if yesterday I was beginning to feel blech, and I'm still feeling blech today because I started to go through my basement, looking through all kinds of past things, going through my divorce papers, some photos. My dad recently downsized, and it's like we're just in that mode. But I took the garbage outside. And the moment I stepped outside into the sun and the warmth, it was like, everything just, it lifted and I felt a whole lot better. So I think, at least on the scavenger hunt, pausing with nature was huge for me.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Those times, I did say in the first week, and I think I think I need to keep saying it. Okay. We're not talking about joy bypassing. We're talking about making space for joy to live amongst the other, right? The grief, the overwhelm. How do we put a focus back? And for you, that was a little piece of nature. So, do you want more nature in your day? That would be a beautiful question to kind of sit with for yourself. Yeah, me too. I can never get enough nature. I think if I lived outside 24/7, I'd still say I need more nature. Absolutely. Okay, Liz. Oh, you're clapping. Well, I want to call on you, Liz, since you're traveling. What's coming up for you?
Hang on. So this week I was kind of struggling with, and not in a bad way, but I was noticing the disconnect between being an expert and joy. Like,
Hmm.
I know when I was first starting my business, I felt like I had to, in order for people to take me seriously, particularly in the business world and with my job being about style, people are like, oh, well, right. They just think a lot of people think it's silly. And so I spent, like I said, a lot of time thinking about where did that being perceived as an expert, being understood as an expert, and being light and funny and joyful and what's the other word I'm looking for? I don't want to say frivolous, but lighthearted. Like I can combine all that, but in order to be taken seriously, quote, out there, it doesn't always work. And so I realized that was yesterday or last week when we did our kind of timeline. I realized I was like, when did becoming an expert rule out joy and playfulness?
Hmm. Wow. How many of you can relate to that? Whether you've solved it or not solved it, or it's like you're like, "Ooh, I felt that." Yeah,
And if you have solved
yeah.
it, let me know, please.
If you have solved it, Liz needs some time with
I
you.
need
Uh,
I need the 3-point plan.
well, Liz, I hate to tell you, it's probably not a 3-point plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say that there has been times in my own business where I felt like it just got so serious. Like I just had to be serious. And it was like I lived on this spectrum of like, I'm either all of this where it's fun and play, or I got to be really serious so people take me seriously. And I'm actually not either one of those. I'm not, right? I like to float in between those two. And so I was just sharing, we're recording our podcast live, and we just got off of a podcast recording. And one of the very things that I said I would never, ever, ever, ever do, although I didn't say I'd never do it, I just said I didn't like it at the time, was doing reels. And the whole reason I am now doing reels right now in this moment in my business is it's this way to show that I'm also a very human person and I have stories to tell. And people like to kind of catch glimpses of what's Shannon up to in Valencia, or what does she think about messaging, or what's that. And so I've made it not a thing. It's not a scripted thing. It's not like a pre-planned thing. It's I literally turn the camera on and I talk for 2 or 3 minutes and then I'm done. And people are responding very well to them. And part of why I'm doing this, strategy under strategy, like the layer, is all the AI in the world. I want people to get a feel for who is Shannon at her core. She's playfulness. She's serious. She's serious. She gets frustrated. She's human. Like those are things that are really important to me. So Liz, the question gets turned back to you, and you can do it in your journal. Yeah, you knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming. How can you be both and? How
Well,
can
and
you
that's
be an
funny.
expert and have joy and fun and play in your business?
Well, and that's funny because this morning I was talking to my sweet hostess and her little tiny 3-month old baby. We were having a little convo this morning and talking about, I trying to figure out where I want to go with my business because there's a lot of changes coming up in our life right now. We're going to be moving. And it's like, okay, either or is easy. Yes and is hard, right? It's
Yes.
always the yes and that's hard. And so I need to, and part of it I'm not going to be able to figure out until we actually get where we're going. And so that's, next January, February. It's like, okay, part of that is you're going to have to play out organically, and part of it has to be planned now. And so it's like, okay, it's just the yes and. I have to live in the yes and it's so much easier to live in the either or. But I know that. I know that. I've been doing this
Yes.
for 63 years. I should know this.
Yes. And I will
Yeah.
say what you're experiencing, and many of us experience this in different formats, business, personal life, whatever, is you
Right.
can't control what's going to happen because there are a lot of
No.
variables. That's the word. There are a lot of variables happening in your life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for those of us that like, the calendar does this and I do this and I march right along, that's hard. That's really hard. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is where I'd say the most, Liz, your joy matters a lot right now, and taking little pockets of time. One, give yourself grace. And two, you have unpredictable stuff happening, but what you can control is choosing joy each day, a little bit of joy each day.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aileen, my beautiful friend, Aileen.
Hey, gorgeous girl. How are you? I'm so glad to be here. So, it's a really weird time for me just now. My brain is really noodling around a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go into major detail, but just in the last week, I had a funeral of a really good friend who took his life by his own hand. I've had to be at court because the neighbour's car was getting stolen, and I was called as a witness. And then I've had people sign up to do my business retreat, and it's the 8-8 Lions Gate to Malarkey. So I've had a lot kind of going around my head. And what that's done is it's really, really thought about like what matters to me. And one of the things I do is I take my dog for a daily walk. So that pausing with nature thing is not just a nice to have, it's everyday medicinal. If I don't get there, then it really, really messes with my head. But what it also did was it's really all of this stuff was brought up about the passion project, because the stuff that used to really ground me like you just said, this happens then, this happens then. Here's the next manifestation. Here's the next offer. Here's the next milestone. They're just not doing it for me right now in this moment. And so I'm looking at the scavenger hunt and I'm going, yeah, definitely keep pausing with nature is a good thing. And maybe just spend a bit of time around the passion projects. What are they now? Because maybe I had been dragging those ones out along, and what's happened is this last week has gone right, smack. What are you doing, woman? You know,
Yeah.
so that's where my head is. And yeah, so it's almost like show me something real here. Let's not
Mm-hmm.
just keep it airy
Mm-hmm.
fairy. I need something real here to really get into and just go, that's the thing I want to do. And I had this the same when I did a trip to New Zealand last year. It was just these things come out to make us go, okay, are we where we want to be in life? And so your scavenger hunt's quite a good thing to kind of, how does it, yeah. Does all that
Okay.
make sense? I know it makes sense in my head, but
Yes.
um,
Yes. And I think I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but if I could read between the lines, having a passion project that's not connected to the business, not connected to motherhood, not connected to any of this thing, just for yourself. Just what would I do just for myself? A few minutes a day would make you feel very grounded and alive amidst everything else going on.
yeah, yeah, that's it. It's weird how a funeral could make you want to feel alive,
Yes.
particularly when that person clearly didn't feel that they had another choice in life. And I'm sorry if this is triggering for what I'm really trying to see the gift in this, which is the what is it now that I don't have in my life that I need to make me feel the true, like you say, who's Shannon, who's Aileen, who's the person I've been putting on hold for a little while. Time to commit, what is that going to be to make me feel just vibrant in myself, not for anybody else, for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think funerals and scary illnesses and things that pop up out of the blue, all those things make us think like that. We reevaluate because we realize we are here right now. That's what's guaranteed just this moment. Right. And how do I want to be spending my time?
Yeah.
And it's real. It's real. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If you have not done the dots exercises yet in the book, for those of you that have the physical book, all right, there is a dots exercise, and it is like the wake up call of why are we even going to gather and talk about joy? Like, I needed a very pictorial, visceral wake up call for myself and for you all. It is on page 11 of the book. It looks like this. Okay. If you have, those of you that have the PDF version, the digital version, I'm not sure what page it's on, but this is what you're looking for. Okay. I'm going to ask you all to do this today. I'm not even going to say this week. I'm going to say, please go do this exercise before you go to bed tonight. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up if you all will do that? Okay. And the reason why is this puts a lot of perspective into the things we delay or the truths we're not living right now, because this is actually how many years we all have to live when we're born on average. I mean, I could only do what I could do, right? Some of us it'll be more and some of us it'll be less. All right, but this is on average. So the little directions are here. And it's going to be interesting for you to see, oh, most of the time I can tell you what happens. I get the messages, I get the emails, I get the whatever, however people reach out. They're like, that was the most combative thing I've ever done and the most important. And I am here for the joy now. That's usually what happens. Okay. So if you haven't done it, do it. If you have done it, tell us your experience in the chat. I'd love to hear about it. All right. Thank you, Aileen. Thanks so much. All right. So for those of you who were here last week, we made our timeline of, I forget how I worded it now, but you'll remember the timeline of before business, like way back, and then business, and then now, and kind of where maybe we lost our joy or we want to pay more attention to our joy and our aliveness. And if you missed that session, I'm actually building a playlist on YouTube where all 5 sessions will go in. Okay, so the link will come out. in the email. But today, what we're going to do is we are going to get into some small groups. Amy's been making groups of 3. All right. And you're going to share in your small group what is coming up for you personally around joy, creativity, aliveness, or your business. Any blend, all of them, not okay. You're going to go in and a little pod, as I like to say. If you were here last week, it might be something that showed up on your Before Business Got So Serious timeline. If you have read some of the book, or maybe it came from your tiny joy practice over the week or your scavenger hunt. Okay, all is good. But here's the thing. When you're not talking, you're going to be taking a few notes. All right, each person is going to get about 2 minutes. And your job really is to notice. We're going to call it a noticing room today. All right. And what I want you to be noticing as you're listening is the thread of what matters, like what you hear people say matter. Like Aileen just said, what matters to me after going to this, experiencing this death and going to this funeral is my truth. Am I rooted in doing the stuff that I want to be doing now with the life that I have left? All right, so you're going to jot some notes while you're listening. We're going to come back and we're going to kind of say what themes came up, what words came up throughout the session. All right, so Amy, please get everyone in a room. We're actually going to take about 5 minutes, Amy. All right. What came up with people? Amy, you can leave it. I just saw your face. Amy just gave me the grimace across Zoom. Like I saw it even in her small thing. She's like, I already got it set up. Okay. Okay. We won't make Amy's life hard.
Thank you. Well, and I want everybody to have 2 minutes. So you all will have 2 minutes with your new partners. Any other instructions, Shannon? I feel like you got it all.
Nope. Instructions in the chat if you need to look at them.
There you go. Because good job.
Never mind. I figured it out. All right. We're going to do something what I like to call a whole, not a whole, but a whole group harvest. All right. So in the chat, what kind of words or themes did you hear coming up when people were sharing? Right? When you were noticing, what did you notice as far as themes or words or values? What were some of those things that you noticed? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Anything that came to mind for you. Okay. So being true to yourself and your purpose, rebirth, coming home, coming back to life, following the joy, wonder, creativity, contribution, beauty, love. Okay, I love that. All right, so what I want to really highlight here, what I'd like for you to remember this week, if nothing else, is that these words, both what you've heard and what you may be feeling yourself, whichever words are true to you, they matter, and they are not random. Okay, and often what keeps coming up around joy is the very thing that keeps pointing us back to a value that wants more room in our life. And this was really kind of, if I have a secret sauce or crack the code on like my own joy, it was being so in tune with what I call my lifestyle values that if whatever was being asked of me in the moment was not in my lifestyle value, I was not doing it. The interesting thing is I'm not talking about things like honesty and integrity and like ethical values, which are important. Okay, I'm talking about the very things that make you feel alive, the very things that make you feel, dare I say, content. And that is not a bad word in my book. All right, content, alive, joyful, creative, whatever those things are for you. Okay, and so I shared a little bit last week about one of the reasons that I wrote this book is because every book that I was reading about joy, Actually, they weren't about joy. They were about happiness. And we all established last week that happiness is things on the outside and joy are the things, as I like to say, joy is an inside job. Okay. But your joy, the inside, comes from you living in your values. And as we have different things happen in our lives, we quit chasing goals because we're like 55 now or however old we are. And we're like, no, I want to focus on contribution, not on external goals. That's a value now. Okay. Or your kids go off to college and you're like, who am I now? What is important to me now? And so every year I love to do an update with myself, and I invite you all to do it too. What are the most important values to you right now? Right? So it's not just something you believe in, it's something that actually you want to be like your co-pilot, your co-partner, because that value, those values shape how you live, what you decide, what you create, how you're going to lead, where you're going to spend your time, and how you're going to use your energy. Okay. And so a lot of business advice actually asks us to make decisions from urgency, scarcity, strategy, performance, comparison. This is what works for me. But here, a joy-fueled business, which is what Amy and I are all about, okay, that joy-fueled business actually asks a much better question. And that question is, what matters enough that I want my life and business to reflect it? What matters enough to me right now that I want my life and my business to reflect it? And that's that practical joy piece, right? And this isn't because every decision becomes easy, but because now we have what I call a filter, a joy filter, a decision filter. Okay. So I'd like for you just to sit with that for a moment. I'm going to ask the question again. If you want, you can close your eyes. You can just kind of like be with yourself for just a moment. Let's see what bubbles up. What matters enough to you right now that you want your life and your business to reflect it? Okay, and what we're going to do today, because as you know, if you were here last week, every week we have a signature activity. All right, we're actually going to make a little joy compass today. All right, we're going to make a joy compass. Okay, so I want you to think about what was a word that came up for you that matters a lot, a value, something that matters, that it's so important to you right now that your life and your business encompass it, reflect it, are built around it. Okay, and you're going to put that word here in this circle. So you can draw this big if you want. Okay, this is my rough sketch. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. Okay, I'm going to talk about the word integration. This is a word that's been coming up with me a lot. Integration. Not to make any of you seasick with my zooming in and out. Okay, integration. All right, that's a value that I have. It's been a value that I have for a long time, but when I moved to Spain, it became really important. Like, I really wanted integration. I wanted integration with the language. I wanted integration with the culture. I wanted to somehow figure out, how do I integrate this business that runs on US, for all intents and purposes, and Canada time zone, with a life that I have in Spain that is now 6 hours ahead of Eastern and 9 ahead of Pacific, right? Integration became like the thing, right? And as I started exploring integration within the business, other things happened. How do I integrate my friendships so I don't just only have expat friends, but I also make Spanish friends? If you haven't seen my reel on Facebook, that actually happened this weekend. It happened way faster than I thought. Okay. Then it became, wow, I'm getting good at integration. Let me practice some more with the value that's important. How do I integrate my art into my life here in Spain? And so now I'm leading art groups around the city to do sketches at different museums and stuff, right? And the latest iteration, I think I touched on it last week, and I know I definitely shared this with Matt and Amy. How do I integrate my love of science and biology and all the amazing photos that I've taken and the field notes and journals that I keep with marketing? And I figured that out, and we'll be rolling that out soon. Okay, so this was an important word for me. I'm going to ask you to write your important word in the middle, your important value. All right, and then we're going to kind of add 4 compass points here that I want you to think about this value or this word that's important to you through these 4 different lenses. Okay, so the first lens is time. Okay, and really the question that we want to ask here is, how does this value shape my time? How does this value shape my time? Okay. The second compass point we want to look at is what we'll just call work. All right. How do I want this value to shape to shape what I create, what I offer, what I say, what I sell, or how I lead? All of those. You don't have to answer them all, but these are just different entry points into the deeper work you'll think about this week around your value. Okay, so for time, how does this value shape my time? And for work, how do I want this value to shape what I create, what I offer, what I say, what I sell, or how I lead? Okay, then I want us to look at this value you've identified through relationships. And this is a fun one. Most of you are relationship-driven people. All right. How does this value shape how I connect, how I collaborate, how I communicate, and even how I ask for support? And you all are on the newsletter list. You know, I'm doing right now a lot of collaborations. That's an integration. That's like a lived expression of an integration I want to have right now. And big gratitude insight to Matt Stone, who told me before I left, because he's lived in Japan and he knows what it's like to run a business when you're not in the country you serve. He said, you are going to want to find some way to stay connected to the people that you love and value and want to collaborate with here. And he was right. Right? That was a deeper point that I didn't have the insight for. But now Matt and I are collaborating. Catherine Brown and I are collaborating. Those things weren't nearly as important to me when I was feet on the ground in the soil of the country that I lived in. Now they've taken a front stage, right? Okay. And then the last one is your body/energy. The lens of looking at your value through your body/energy. Okay, so how do I want this value to shape how I care for my nervous system, my capacity, my rest, my movement. Okay. So I want to give you just a couple minutes right now, stream of consciousness, top of mind, pick somewhere on your compass to write some notes, to think about your value through a very different lens. We'll call it the joy compass. All right. And I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes and then we'll come back and we'll kind of talk about what surfaced here. All right, let's take a pause just for a moment. You're going to come back to this over the week. All right, but in the chat, what word did you choose? So what was the word or the value you chose? And what's one thing your joy compass has kind of already showed you just in these couple of minutes? All right, Amy, will you give voice to a couple of these as they come in? Because I know we often, one, it just makes us all feel like, oh, we're human. Like, yes, there are other people who feel this way too. But also, I love giving voice to the things that we're discovering.
Yeah, so Kirsten, I'm not surprised. Inspiration, you do look for it everywhere, nature, your interactions. Like, I know you well enough that that feels really awesome. Jennifer, connection, the importance of authenticity and opportunity to review your current offerings and how you market them through a lens of deeper connection. You're in that work right now, again, honoring and seeing and agreeing with you there. Lisa, this one's interesting too. Alignment, being willing to say no to people and things that are not the best interests of where you are going. And I like the word going in that. Let's see. Let me scroll down a little bit. Michelle, freedom and time. Ironically, time freedom means being super de-duper boundaried. I agree with you there. Let's see. Kieran, becoming. I seek relationships around growth. My joy can be found into helping people become, being with people becoming, and celebrating those who have done the work to inspire others to become. Karen, translucent. Easy to see how much time I spend in courses, but surprised by myself realizing that the ones I choose were actually around finding community and relationships.
Karen, the word translucent makes my biology brain very happy. You might have thought of it through an art brain, probably like translucent watercolor. I'm like, oh, translucent leaves. Like my brain went somewhere completely, like translucent cells under the microscope. That was so fun. Okay, so guess what? I have some beautiful news for you all. This week, I am not asking you to overhaul your life. Isn't that good? Because that's a very big task for 1 week. But what I am asking you to do is I want you to notice how you can make one small decision where your value gets to speak a little bit more and be a co-creator with you a little bit tighter. It's like your values in your pocket, and it's like your co-creator of life, you and your value. Like you're going to go through your week this week and be like, wait, that was on the joy compass. Does it work? It becomes a decision filter. Okay. So this week, your little tiny joy practice is to let your lifestyle value have a vote. Give it a vote in what's going on in your life and in your business. Okay. You're going to keep it simple, keep it doable. Notice what comes up around there as you go through your week this week. All right. And then if you want to dive more into the lifestyle value piece, because I teach this a very different way. Some of you may have done this exercise before. I found it completely overwhelming. A lot of people do this. They give you 400 words and they have you start going through which ones are your values. And by the end, you're like that was a lot of work. You know what I'm talking about, right? So I was like, I'm not doing this way because it's an internal thing anyway, right? My work, it's related to the internal. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper into the world of Shannon and lifestyle values, all right, it's chapter 2 of your book. All right, that little chapter is on lifestyle values. And you can also fill in your scavenger hunt there too. And then in the behind the scenes website where I mentioned last week, I did a beautiful interview with a friend named Carrie Ann. She was here last week, but I don't see her this week. And we did a beautiful interview. It's a short 10-minute interview, I think, around what did it mean for her to actually, in her business, center that lifestyle value? And what changed because of that? And Carrie Ann and I, she was a client for many years. Now we're collaborators, right? We work on client projects together. So there's a behind the scenes interview on that you might find really interesting. And Amy, you can put the link if people want to go ahead and open that up. You're looking for getting clear on your lifestyle values. Okay. All right. What else is going on in the community? Well, Matt Stone and Matt, Give everyone a wave. We have a really, really fun workshop coming up tomorrow or Thursday. You can choose your session. It's the debut you. Name the story of your next era. So we're going to be like, oh, what is this story that wants to come about? What is the story I want to be living and telling? What is the story I need to re-educate my audience on? Because they keep introducing me of what I did 5 years ago. All right. Or whatever that is. All right. So we're going to be doing that. Amy will put the links for that as well. That's a free session. You're welcome to join us for Tuesday or Thursday. And then Matt's like, please come, please come, please come. Amy's doing a special session. She does Ask Amy Anything. And we've been noticing something with a lot of our clients and a lot of the people we're talking to. They're saying things like this: the referrals aren't enough anymore. Or I don't want to just rely on my business for referral-based business, right? And so she's going to do a special Ask Amy Anything at the end of this month, where you can start having a different kind of conversation with people who are showing up cold to your Zoom. Maybe they haven't come through a referral. How does that sales script, that conversation script need to change from a cold prospect versus a referral prospect versus a warm prospect? All right. So if you have not interacted with Amy in her sales mind, this is where she shines. And it's why she does them all in the brand. All right. And then finally, we have a couple spots left for CEO Days in Valencia. We're meeting in October 19th through the 21st. We are going to look at Valencia through the lens of what did we accomplish or not accomplish. It's not a bad thing this year. What were our goals? What were our priorities? What do we want to do in the last 3 months? And where are we looking ahead to? So we have 3 spots left for CEO Planning Days in Valencia. And it's a very experiential. For example, we'll meet in a cafe, we'll do something, we're going to walk, we're going to do something, then we're going to do something in our business. Very experiential like that. All right. To get you out of that thinking strategy brain. Okay. So those are the things coming up. We'd love to see you at any of them or all of them. And as you exit the room today, please, we have a few minutes. Who would like to share something they're walking out with differently than where they entered with just 57 minutes ago?
Go for it, Matt.
Uh, it's great to be here with you all. My heart's really touched by a number of different interactions I've had today, so I just want to honor that. But my thing is really deep human connection. I've moved a lot in my life, and that has been the thing that has helped me change my business and where I go and figure things out is other people. And this compass is just a brilliant way of checking to see, am I really integrating this value into my life and my business? And I'm going to spend more time with this, but I just love this. It's one of the things that I love about what you do, Shannon, is you help me see things in a new way. It's not that it's a new thing, but seeing it in a new way helps me actually to activate it. And it's practical joy. So I'm practically joyful. Thank you.
Yay. Thanks for sharing. I love that. Aileen, back in the seat, back in the hottie seat.
100%. So I'm definitely leaving with feeling of direction. I arrived a bit discombobulated. It's one of my favorite words. Discombobulate just sounds like it does. Because of the compass as well, and also the let that value have a vote. I really like that line. Let my lifestyle value have a vote. That's the thing that will be noodling around my brain now. Helping me figure out all the other bits. Thank you.
Good. Oh my God, let your lifestyle values vote with you, people. They get the vote. They get at least, I mean, my lifestyle values, honestly, they get 95.7% of the vote. The rest of it, I'll figure it out, right? Like if I have to like override it for some reason, but for the most part, that is the vote. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. We will see you next week with another activity and more to report in on. Talk to you all soon. Adios.